This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster, and just a quickie review of Book of Boba Fett, Part 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. Stole that title from a sci-fi novel, 50s. Anyway, The Mandalorian had set up this idea that Boba Fett had survived Mandalorian Season 2. They rescue him, and then Silac does stuff, and so they set up this sort of a spin-off, because it's what they wanted to do anyway, to explain the Silac thing. Spoilers, I guess. They figured out a way to do it, and I actually discussed this with the former Star Wars guy, and also Star Trek online guy, Scott from the church, and pointed out to him that if the Silac takes 1,000 years to digest you, his digestive juices are really weak. You got to be able to climb out. Because if it takes 1,000 years, sounds impressive. Like, 1,000 years of torture and torment in his stomach. He wouldn't survive that long if it was actual real stomach acid. So yeah, he'd be messed up and he'd get out. The stormtrooper fell in first, so he uses the stormtrooper to get himself out in the flashback. There's some flashbacks while he's recovering, apparently. He's made himself the Mos Eisley king, the mob boss, replacing Jabba the Hutt. That's after the events of Mandalorian Season 2. But yeah, it does have the convoluted virtue of it being like, okay, you have to have known what came in Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. The first live-action Star Wars TV show, essentially. They've done a bunch of cartoons, but they've never done the TV show. Netflix-style TV show on Disney Plus, and this is the Boba Fett book that aired before last New Year's, but I just got around to seeing it, so it wasn't that long ago. Well, yeah, a lot of scenes are building up the story. Robert Rodriguez directed it. Jon Favreau produced it. Some of the cast is new, but yeah, so cool. So why not? It's a little convoluted. It's like if you haven't seen the other one, but they do sort of like show again how he got out of the Silac pit, so the flashback. So you can take that and just go, okay, that's how it got out. After everybody left, then he just grabbed the dead stormtrooper flamethrower and blasted his way out of the thing. Because he couldn't move. It's not really like a Dune worm. Although there are some Dune elements in this, because Star Wars is cribbing from Dune. At one point he fights a bunch of guys in the street using personal shields. Out of Dune. So, I'm going to watch episode 2 as well, which just aired. Anyway, so we have, he makes himself up as the mob boss. I'm not sure how that happens, but I'm thinking episode 2 might mention that, because they haven't gotten done with the dreams building up to the other thing, or the visions, whatever, building up to that thing, the flashbacks. They keep calling them dreams, but they're flashbacks. The Mos Eisley Cantina and all that is recreated. There's a rooftop parkour scene that's recreated. I'm assuming that they used that widescreen pan-screen thing similar to they built one for Disney, and then they built one in Canada for the Star Trek people. It's a similar one. So they got 2 of them. I'm assuming the other places, I think every studio now has one of those things. They have like this big round room, and they go in there and they can project whatever they want on it, so they don't have to go on location a lot. Most of this is probably not on location; it's on a set. Because they're not going to let the actors get all full of sand and grit and be on an actual 100-degree weather. They would die, or whatever. Or when they're in the snow, they would freeze. But in this case, the other planet episode. So. Yeah, and I liked that they made the fight scenes, like the guy is, if he's supposed to be the Boba Fett from the prequels, and all the clones were named after, then yeah, he'd be in his early 60s. He wouldn't really be able to fight right. So because he's kind of old, so he'd have to use like different melee attacks that would be like he's not like a spring chicken anymore. So, there's a brutal stuff, Rambo-y stuff. At one point, he fights a giant four-armed Letamok creature, sort of pseudo Letamok creature, Termarellian creature. He fights a creature from one of my stories. It's crossed with a creature from one of Mark's card stories, and it's a four-armed creature, and it's a male Letamok. It has four arms. He triangles it. It isn't really, but it kind of looks like one. More like a praying mantis, the worm thing. Very Lovecraftian looking. But yeah, so it's not the right height though to be a Letamok. So, so lizard bugs. Yeah, they copy the creatures pretty well. So they continue populated by creatures that look like the ones from Jedi. And the first one, a Guido type alien, but it's blue, pink. They have other ones that are doing. They have those horned aliens with the long, like bunny ear, horn ear things. They have them in pink and blue and yellow and other colors. They have. They do everything. Another Star Wars guy, Brian Story, who'd been in the background in the middle one. Yeah, Empire. Many years ago, he mentioned that when they did the new trilogy, that the Raider Jawa heads and the other Raider heads were the wrong kind. They were the costumey kind that had the eyes connected to the little things, like kind of cheap, like costume shop. They were using those in this one too. So Mr. Story, they didn't get the right ones, but that's all right. Maybe they didn't have any of those. They used the ones from the prequels. Yeah, they didn't do that right. Oh well. Anyway, but one of them was almost right, so it was close. The goggles connected. Yeah, so in the Jawas. Yep. Not the Jawas, but the Sand People. The Sand People. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's except for that, it's fine. I'm gonna go on and watch episode 2. Yeah, it was okay. Yeah. So no.